Hello credit people! Some of you that saw our last video on credit application forms may think that such application forms are off-putting to customers. Most certainly blue chip customers. But you can always take a measure depending on the industry you're in and perhaps be happy not to ask for a personal guarantee, for example. Be careful, however, how much of a measure you take. This brings me nicely to credit referencing. To give you an example of what I'm talking about, let's check out a company that has been in the news recently, Carillion. They operate in a high-risk business, construction, so already we know to take care how much of a measure we give. They have recently gone bust, so we know not to do business with them. But let's look at their report before they hit the news. Here is a credit report our Master Club members have access to. You can see it has a dashboard. This dashboard is a credit report of Carillion, showing a rating with a red cross in it. That's very bad. Monthly guide, what the credit report recommends you give credit for on a monthly basis to Carillion, 0, that's bad. Risk, high, very bad. Days beyond terms, how many days typically it would take Carillion to pay for invoices after they became due? 189 days, not good at all. If you look closely, there's also other details, for example, 5 county court judgments registered. For reasons explained earlier, the dashboard is not great. So let's check out the historical rating of Carillion prior to it going into liquidation to see how it stood then. Prior to going into liquidation, it has to be said, according to this credit report that we supply our Master Club members, Carillion had a good credit rating. Not great, admittedly, but good nonetheless. So let's look at the historical credit rating of Carillion. How did they stand prior to going into liquidation? What was their credit like then? Well, it wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. It was pretty good actually. On the 19th of October 2017, for example, it was considered above normal risk with a monthly credit guide of £125,000. In the summer of 2017, better still, it was excellent. Low risk with a monthly credit guide of just over £1 million. Hard to believe now, but I always say, take the credit rating at first sight. From a credit management perspective, pay attention to payment trends, days beyond terms, and whether or not the applicant applying for credit has any county court judgments registered to be able to have any confidence in giving credit. Okay, with that said, let's have a look at the county court judgments registered against Carillion. Okay, you will see Carillion has 5 county court judgments registered, 3 of which are satisfied, 2 unsatisfied. Now, let's take a closer look at one of the county court judgments that was satisfied. The bottom one, registered on the 25th of September 2012 for £8,852. Now that wasn't paid until the 4th of January 2013. Over 3 months it took Carillion to pay that county court judgment. This follows their payment trends, which now brings us nicely to days beyond terms. Let's have a look at the history of days beyond terms. How long it took Carillion to pay for invoices after they became due. Days beyond terms. How many days did it take Carillion to pay for invoices after they became due? This data has been collected from 2,280 customer experiences. So, quite reliable, I would say. And I'd actually go as far as to say it is reliable. Now you will see they had a history from as far back as December 2016 of never paying their invoices on time. In fact, it took them more than 90 days to pay for their invoices. Prior to going into liquidation in December 2017, typically it took Carillion 189 days beyond terms to pay for invoices. Now that is poor, not good at all from a credit management point of view. So although judging by their accounts filed for year ending 2016. Their financials were good, and let's take a closer look at those financials to see what I mean by that. Sales, that's their turnover, 4 billion. Gross profit of 350 million. Despite that, nonetheless, they weren't good payers, and sadly many businesses that gave credit will not get paid. Carillion is a good lesson to any business enticed by big contracts to be careful entering those contracts. If after considering a credit check, as demonstrated, there is a danger you will not get paid on time or at all. Based on the Carillion credit report prior to liquidation, I certainly would not have recommended any of Master Collections customers giving credit without a personal guarantee. When you understand the bonuses the directors of Carillion were on, that personal guarantee, or personal guarantees if more than one director gave them a personal guarantee, would have been very valuable indeed. Admittedly, I doubt whether any of the Carillion directors would have given a personal guarantee. Therefore, I would have recommended no credit at all be given to Carillion. I appreciate, however, given the size of the contract, it may have been too enticing to turn down, in which case I would have recommended Master Collections customers either insure the risk through credit insurance or finance the invoices through finance options such as factoring, invoice discounting and other finance options. But they come at a price, and while this video is not the subject of these options, and I am not an expert on the subject, I will say this: you need to consider the price of these options against the reward. Credit insurance, for example, depending on the risk, can be expensive, and there are some credit insurers that will not insure construction contracts because they are considered high risk. Finance is not given away, and you must therefore read the small print where the debtor covered by the finance goes into liquidation, as was the case with Carillion. Here ends our video on credit checks. For more videos, please like, subscribe and comment. Remember, when giving credit, don't regret it.